Well, hello everyone. We are back for one more project for this semester. This is your winter project. You will do this over the 6 weeks that you have off from school. And so what we're doing is paper mache. So this is one that I did a few years ago. It is basically paper covered in glue and more paper and masking tape and painted and sculpted. So it's just a sculpture made out of paper. So to kind of give you the basics, because you're going to figure all of this out basically on your own, what you're going to need is glue. You need glue, you need newspaper, you need masking tape. You will need various things to help you sculpt, and I'll kind of get into that. Like, you can use water bottles, you can use pop bottles, aluminum foil we're going to use. I'm going to use a little bit of saran wrap just to get my project started. You can use various objects to mold around. I'm going to show you how to do that today, because that gets a little tricky because you don't want to ruin your mom's bowl or anything. But you can use this to create, that's what I used to create this mushroom, but I think I'm going to make a little dome top. So I don't want this flat top. I'm going to show you how to kind of build that up and I'm going to make a smaller mushroom today. All right, so I'm going to start the project here. This is probably going to be a 2-part video because this takes a good while to dry. Depending on how many layers of paper you put on and how much glue you use, this has to dry completely before you can move on to the painting step. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up our glue. Now, there are a couple different kinds of glue that you can use. Almost everybody probably has school glue at home. You can get glue from the dollar store. You can get it from, obviously, Walmart, Target, wherever. You can use school glue, or you can use Elmer's Glue All. The recipe is a little different depending on which glue you use. So, I will have that on your handout, and I will attach that with the email with this video. School glue. Your recipe is going to be 1 part glue to 1/2 part water. This is a much more watered down version of glue, so it already has a lot of water in it, so you don't need as much. Whereas Glue All is a stronger glue, so there's less water in it. So this is 1-to-1. So you need 1 part glue to 1 part water, which is what I'm using today. So I already have my glue in here. I dumped that, and then I marked, this wasn't a full bottle, so I marked where that left off. And that's how much water I'm going to put in. Just pour that in. You can get something to stir. It doesn't have to be anything fantastic. So you're going to mix that up well. Now, this is a messy project. Make sure whatever surface you're working on at home, you cover in newspaper. Especially if you're doing this like at the kitchen table or something, you don't want to ruin anything. So just put a piece of paper down to work on. That'll catch all of the glue drippings and make your mom happier. Or dad. Maybe dad's the one that gets upset. Anyway, cover your surface. Now, if you're taking newspaper from me, I cannot guarantee the content of what is on the newspaper. I just grabbed a bundle from my mom's house, and yeah, I'm going to say it's probably not, don't read it. Just don't read it. Okay, and you're going to need some paint of some sort. So you got paint last week, a nice set of acrylic paints. Don't use that. You will go through most of that paint, and we need that for the next 2 projects. So I recommend the craft paint that you can get at like Walmart. I think it's like 50 cents a bottle, and this is going to serve you much better than the acrylic paint you got for your next few projects. So you can use those brushes if you want, but just save that paint for the next couple weeks. Okay, so I'm going to take this bowl as my form, and the first thing I'm going to do is cover it in saran wrap. If I can get it out. Shoot, I should have probably done that before. That's not cool. Guess I need new saran wrap. Okay. Pretend that didn't happen. Alright, so pull out saran wrap and we're going to cover it probably 2 ways. Okay, I'm just going to wrap it around inside and I'm going to put another piece on going the other way. If you don't do that, you will glue your project to your bowl and you will ruin your project trying to get it off because it will not release. Alright, inside does not have to be perfect. If it's lumpy and clumpy and whatever, it's totally fine. All we're doing is protecting our bowl. Okay, so I've got that down. Then I want to add that little mound for the top of the mushroom. So I'm going to take a little bit of aluminum foil and I'm going to kind of shape it how I want it to be. Okay, so I am going to adhere it on here. I want it to just be just a little kind of pointy top, like a toadstool sometimes has a little. Okay, so this is sculpture. So I'm basically sculpting with aluminum foil. So I'm creating the inner look of what I want. Now, if I get to the end, until I get to the paper part and realize, it's kind of not what I want, then I can change it. But this just gives me a start. And we are going to go through a lot of tape. Okay, so I'm going to kind of tape this on. I could have put it under the plastic wrap too, and it would have just released. Okay. All right, I'm going to take my rings off because this is going to get messy. Okay. Another thing I need to do before I get too far is cut my paper into strips. You are going to need a lot of strips of paper. It will cut really well one way and it will have a jaggedy edge the other way. So if you take your paper kind of like this, it should rip easily. And then you can cut them into the sizes that you want. As far as what paper works, sometimes newsprint obviously is the best. It's really flexible, but you can use like some of the ads, like the Menards ad. It's not ideal, but if you run out of paper and that's all you have, go ahead and use it. It should work just fine. All right, I'm gonna cut all these down. I don't like them too terribly long because they get out of control, but if I'm doing that, that might work best. So I'm gonna start with these. All right, so now I've got my glue, I've got my form. Here's where it gets ugly. I am going to put my paper. You could make this in a bigger bowl too if you want. And then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to slide it and get most of the glue off. Okay, I don't really want this dripping. I just want it coated. You can see the coating of glue. And I am just going to start laying my strips. Now, if you did this in like a ice cream bucket, that's probably a better thing to do it in. Whatever you use, make sure it has a lid. That way you can come back to it and it won't dry up. Make sure you can close it overnight. And we're just going to keep doing this. This is a long, tedious project, but it is so much fun. You are welcome to include siblings. If they want to do a project alongside of you, go ahead. Let them. Teach them how to use paper mache. It's a lot of fun, as long as your parents let them. Maybe get permission first. It's a very watery mixture. Okay, and you're just going to start laying it on top of each other and smoothing it out. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have little bumps and little ridges, especially at first, because you're just trying to get the form started. But you'll see once you start adding paper, it adheres much, much better. Now we're going to put multiple layers. This is not just a one layer project. This is, oh boy, probably 3-4 layers of paper. So your first layer is not going to be perfect. Now there is paper mache glue. If you want to order it off Amazon, it's really nice. Like, kind of like, we used to call it dragon snot. It's clear. It's worked very well. But I find this works just as well. You can always start going sideways if you want. Uh-oh, I just lost my paper. Now the masking tape comes in handy if you are creating bulky objects. Like when I get to the stem, I'll use more masking tape because I'll have to create the initial sculpture of the stem and then make sure it's got a tight. So you can crumple up a bunch of newspaper, get kind of the shape of the stem you want. You can cover it in tape to make sure it stays well. Now this is going to be hollow when I'm done, so I just want to go to the edge of the bowl. I don't really want to roll it under. It just needs to go to the edge of the bowl if you're going to use a bowl or something, because I'll have to peel it off. You can use a balloon. You can blow up a balloon. Sometimes you can get balloons to be in other shapes, or if that's the shape you need, perfect. You can cover a balloon and then you pop the balloon and take it out, or leave it, I guess. Alright, so this is getting kind of bulky here, so I'm going to take a littler piece. The smaller the piece, the easier it is to shape and mold. Now I have some holes in here, and that's fine for now. Oops, my final layer has to be hole free. You don't want any holes or ridges or anything. You want to make sure that you get a nice smooth surface, because you're going to have to paint this. It's been a while since I've done a paper mache project. This is pretty liquidy, so I'm kind of flinging paint all over, or glue all over. You also could just dip your fingers and kind of smear it on the paper. There's lots of different ways to make a mess. But my point is, you don't want this drenched in glue. You just want it coated. You just want a nice coating of glue. And those longer strips give these littler strips something to kind of adhere to. Now, over the years, I have had lots of fun sculptures turned in. Everything from I had a duck. We've had a monkey sculpture. I had a zebra sculpture one year. Someone made the beast, full size, 6 foot tall, real life. What else? We've had a dragon, a fire-breathing dragon flying out of a volcano. I had a can of Pepsi pouring. We had, what else was there? A hot air balloon, kind of a floating hot air balloon. Mushrooms, of course. So there's lots of things you can do. It does not have to be a mushroom. We want this to be sturdy, so we want enough layers of paper and glue to make it almost stiff. We don't want it flimsy. We want it nice and firm. So make sure you get at least 3 layers of paper on this beauty. Okay, the glue is dripping everywhere. Like, I will have to trim up the edges of this. Once this is dry, I will take it off the bowl. I will fill the inside with something because I will have to make the underside also. So this is not a, oh shoot, I forgot about it all 6 weeks. I'm going to do it the last day before school. I did have kids do that and did not go over well. They did not get a passing grade. I've had a cactus. That was another one. I am not very difficult to, I don't feel like I grade difficultly. I don't feel like I expect too much. But I mean, I do expect you to do the project. So there have been some not great grades in the past. Okay. Last year I think I made a dog, or 2 years ago, sorry. I made a dog. I didn't love how it turned out, but that's all right. It was still fun. I think somebody made a mask. Okay, there's one other requirement I forgot to cover. Your sculpture needs to be at least 12 inches at the widest part. So it has to at least either be 12 inches tall, 12 inches wide, whatever. From the furthest point this way to the furthest point this way has to be 12 inches. I don't want a little baby sculpture. I want something good sized. When you're learning like this, doing things small is usually more difficult than doing things large. So I want a nice sculpture, 12 inches across. It can be bigger if you want, but it has to at least be 12 inches. Hence Mr. Beast at 6 feet tall. All right, now my hands are covered in glue, so be careful what you touch. Make sure you get to the sink. Or you let it dry on your hands and you peel it off, because that's fun too. Okay, once that paper gets a little saturated, you can really kind of start to mold it and move it around. And you're going to need a lot of paper strips. A lot. I'm sending you home with a starter bundle, but you will probably need more than what I give you. Now this is going to take quite a while to dry. I'm going to bring it to class tomorrow, but there's a good chance it won't be dry unless I help it along, which I might, because I'm going to take this off in class so you guys can kind of get an idea of what to do next. But my next film, I will show you kind of what to do with that too. And don't neglect the edges. It's easy to think you have enough down here. And yes, it needs to be painted, just like a sculpture would. You need to turn in a completed project. Oh, I had a large pot with flowers. That was one year. Someone did bull horns for like the front of like you would see on the front of a vehicle in Texas. What else have we had? I'll have to go back through my pictures and try to remember. A violin. Someone did a violin. A true to size. Someone did a Christmas present. Yeah, we've had a lot of variety. There were no duplicates. That's one cool thing. Lots of different ideas. Can't even drink my coffee because my hands are covered in glue. Oh man. Now if I get this dried and I realize I don't love the top of that, I can add more paper to make it a little wider. I can add to it. Oh look, I forgot all of that. Let me get to this side. So never too late to add more unless you've already painted. Then that might be too late. So this will take a little bit of planning, this project. It will take a little bit of thought. It will take a little bit of room. Make sure you do this in an area that your family doesn't use every day. Don't do this at the kitchen table if you guys sit down and eat dinner together every day. Find a little spot that you can kind of start this and leave it as a working project for a couple days or a week or two. Smaller pieces mold better. If you want, you can go thin. If you want to get around some tight areas, or if you want like that. If you did really skinny on that top peak, I wouldn't have any bubbles. The skinnier they are, the better they mold. All right. It's hard to know when to stop. It's kind of fun to do. Just keep adding layers and layers and layers. Now, we don't come back till January 8th. So, it would be wise to either do this early, before Christmas, and you can be done and not have to worry about it. Or if you wait until Christmas is over, there is plenty of time to get it done then. So I will leave that. That is entirely up to you to plan your time out well and to make sure you're not in anyone's way. You don't want to be in your mom's way if she's hosting Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever it may be. So just be considerate about your family and their time and their space, and plan out your time well. This is not a quick project. I can always tell when you give yourself enough time. Those projects turn out fantastic. So give yourself time. I was so impressed with the avocados. You guys did a great job with that. I was very impressed. Actually, I've been impressed with most of the projects that you guys have done this year. It's fun to watch you guys learn new techniques and put them into practice and make something wonderful. Okay, so you can see the edge of mine is not pretty. Like, that's pretty ugly. But when this is all dry, I will take this off. I'll trim off these extra ones, and then I will actually put something in the bottom and wrap that around, so there will be another layer that goes over that. You will notice when these start to dry, some may pop up. You may have to go over with another couple sheets. So you may have to do another layer at some point after this is all dry. Sometimes you can get away with just putting some glue in there and smushing it down and letting it dry, but you might need more paper. It used to be that the whole school would walk by where all the art projects were displayed, and so everyone got to see these fun projects. Sadly, that's not the case anymore, but I do send them out to your parents so they can at least see what everyone in class is doing and ooh and ah over them privately. Okay, I'm gonna be done because I could just sit here for another half an hour and keep going over it. I don't know that I really love that. I think I want a little bit more, so I'm not crazy about this, so I'm gonna add a little bit more paper, make this less pointy. Okay, more of a dome shape. So since I have all this glue, I'm just gonna kind of glue it down. Then now I'm gonna probably have to make more glue before I get very far. Okay, so then I'm just gonna cover this. I would have put masking tape on if my hands weren't completely covered in glue. There, I like that shape a little bit better. There. See? Easy. Don't ever panic. It's just paper. It's just paper. You tell it where to go. There, that's a much better shape. All right, there. I like that better. Especially better than the flat top, the one I did a few years ago. Boy, that was a long time ago that I did that one. Okay, you don't want puddles of glue, so if you see there's big puddles of glue, just kind of smooth it out. There's paper sticking up, kind of smooth it out. If you feel like something's kind of weak, like this is kind of I'm going to add a few more layers. A few more layers right there, so just to add some strength. You'll be amazed at how sturdy this is when it's dry. Go around all the way. Seriously, I could just keep doing this. I'm gonna have to stop here at some point. If you don't like glue on your hands, you could wear gloves. I know there are people who don't like to get their hands dirty or gluey or sticky or anything. So you have options. You could wear gloves if that really bothers you. I have no problem with that. Oops. Gloves are inexpensive. There. That feels much better. All right, I'm gonna let that dry, and that's it for right now. To let my hands dry or go wash them right away. But yeah, we will continue on in the next video. All right, see you soon.